It finally happened. I punched my dad. My whole life I used to look up to my dad to be like him because he was a very hard-working man. I think of him as a role model. He was strict just like any other strict Asian parent. My family is well off, slightly higher than a middle class, and I've never really had to struggle for much. My father brings a fair bit of money and sent me to a private school. And also he gives all the money for my tuition cause of course that's his job. I've always felt very grateful to him because he's provided almost everything which I have ever needed. From food to education to clothes, everything. But truth to be told I've always hated him and our relationship has been shitty. He's always been a control freak and a helicopter parent, and would always make sure I did everything as he told me to. Most importantly, as I was growing up he didn't shy away from using violence to restrain me. Well, if I be honest, the beat I used to get I 100% deserved it. But this post is not about me getting abused. It's about my mother. One day, when I was 4 to 5 years old, I was playing with myself in my room. Then suddenly when I went to my parents' room I say my father was choking her, it's the exact reason why, but I was so scared of that scene that I ran quickly to my room to hide. I honestly didn't get what was happening as obviously I was just a kid. And they also acted like nothing was happening as well. So I didn't care. But my father used to abuse my mom every now and then. The main trauma of my life was then when I was 12 years old, I was sleeping with my parents at that time. They were arguing over something and suddenly my father literally was choking my mother by literally keeping his foot on her chest. That scared the shit out of me and I couldn't do anything. So again I ran away from the scene and called my grandparents who were living in the same apartment on the ground floor. They later just thrashed him and his father told him to not to do it ever again. Now you guys might be thinking that my grandfather was also an abuser just like my father. But that's not the story, he was never an abusive person, he might have argued, which I think happens in every house but never ever touched my grandmother. I don't know from where he has learnt this from. From that day I had hatred towards him and I've sworn that if he ever picks his hand on my mom, I will not just watch and hide, I'll take action. So after that incident he never picked hand on my mom, until today. Today was my class 10th science boards exam which was about 3 hours. My father used to drop me and my mom on his bike. And then he went back to his work. And my mother used to wait for me until I come back from exam, with my friends' moms, as they were also waiting for their child. So they had to wait 3 hours. And in India the humidity is too high. You can't stand and wait for 3 hours on a sunny day. So to get rid of the sun, my mom and our friends went to a temple nearby where they could waste their time and also to visit that. It's been 3 hours my mother went back from his drive and my father also came to pick me. So my father saw my mom was getting out of a car which he knew it was my friend's parents' car. My mother was very good friends with there were like 7 parents who were friends with my mom, they went to temple with them. So on my way back home my father asked my mother where she had been when I was giving my exam. She told him she went to the temple which was pre-planned and she has told him that too that they will be going to a nearby temple on my exam day. He knew that but he has other things in his mind as there were male too. So he thought how to say this cause how can a person have this cheap mentality about his wife. My mom is not that type of person to do these things and with whom she went with they were all highly educated and not some rascals. So in this topic they started quarreling over and over through the road and even in the house. Until my father slapped my mom, which turned the switch off for me and I beat him, not exactly I just choked him and shouted him that how can he pick his hand on my mom. I just couldn't think of anything to save my mom. I just did what instantly triggered on my mind. He was not doing anything and instead after I did that to him he tried to beat me but couldn't do anything. My mother was very angry and disappointed on me that how could I raise hand on my father. But I don't think so she seems to understand that he has been abusing him since she's been married. After I raised my hand on him I feel bad, not because I raised my hand on him but because of my mother that I've put her in a very bad situation. I don't think so she deserves me and my father. She definitely deserves much better. Right now I don't know what to do I'm tensed what will happen next and my exams are not even over yet and also I'm just 16. Now honestly I think I shouldn't have raised my hand on him. But honestly that was the first thing which my brain told me to do to protect my mother from him. Cause when he used to beat her, it felt like he wants my mother dead. The whole purpose of me writing this is because I need suggestions to what to do. I'm totally tensed what I've done. I think if I didn't raise my hand on him, the whole situation would be back to normal. But what can I do? I just love my mom so much that in every phase of my life I've seen her either getting used like a maid or a literal nobody and gets beaten. Sorry to anyone who bothered to read the mess. I just can't think straight RN, also please ignore my grammatical error cause my English is not that good.